Okay, so I'm going to walk us through this one pretty quickly again, so we don't, so we can let you guys go at 8 o'clock. Some of the issues that come up, I mean, it's sort of a split in my experience talking with board members about this. Some are very clear. This is a conflict of interest. The person needs to recuse themselves from any discussion of the contract, and end of story. But for some others, it raises questions of how do I, as a board member, have that conversation with a fellow board member? I mean, am I even sure that there is a conflict of interest? This information is coming to me from a community member. Wouldn't the board member have shared that information themselves? How do you broach that kind of conversation when really you hope that someone would bring the issue of the conflict themselves? You know, the best approach we think is to really have a conversation one-on-one with that board member. That this came to my attention. Seems like it's a pretty clear conflict of interest under our conflict of interest policy. Every district is required to have a conflict of interest policy. It should define what a conflict of interest is, and it should have a pretty clear set of procedures for people to go through if they themselves identify a conflict or the potential for perception of conflict, or if somebody else identifies the fact that there's a conflict. So if you're uncomfortable talking to a fellow board member directly about an apparent conflict, you should speak with your chair and let them know that this information has come forward and you think you need to trigger the conflict of interest policy. I'll just say that under state law, there are statutory conflicts of interest, so that no school board member can receive or solicit anything directly or indirectly as a result of recommending or voting to procure a particular service, item, or supply purchased with public funds. So that, in this case, we would say it's a very clear statutory conflict of interest, that this person's employment depends on a vote on a contract with a bus company, so that board member not only can't vote on the contract, but shouldn't participate in any deliberations on the contract. Let me just see if I've missed any points here. I think that covers it. Anybody have anything else to add?
I was just going to respond to the 5 questions on the previous page.
Oh.
Back. I'm sorry, 3 questions on the previous page. You know, I think the question is, you know, what do you do in this kind of a situation? One thing is, what do you say to the community member? This probably is obvious to anybody, but I think it's important anytime a community member raises concerns about the operation of the board, it's important to thank them for the information and for their perspective, and you'll explore the situation. Obviously, you don't have any facts. It would be inappropriate to immediately say, you know, what you're going to do, or the fact that it is even inappropriate, but certainly thanking people. I would again see it in these situations that it's always better to talk to if you have that kind of a relationship, talk to the person and say, it would make, this has been raised, I think it's sensitive, it might be one that you want to step, if there's potential conflict, you might want to step out. If you don't get anywhere there, certainly talking to the board chair. And ultimately, I would say to a board member that if you're feeling like there is a serious ethical violation occurring on your board, you know, it's always good to try to sort it out beforehand, or to have people deal with it individually. But ultimately, it's critical that it be raised in a public session, because there are serious ramifications that can come from direct conflicts of interest that will affect the whole board, and the validity of a decision that the board might make that was not declared to be a violation.